Stevens, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Drum?
Here.
Mrs. McMurray is absent this evening. Mr. Maines?
Here.
Mrs. Dillard?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much. At this time, I would love a motion for the approval of the agenda.
I'll move that we approve.
I'll second. Okay, motioned by, Mr. Maines and seconded by Mrs. Dillard. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on the
Maines?
agenda.
Maines?
Yes.
Dillard?
Yes.
Drum?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Agenda is approved. We'll start tonight with student recognition. Mr. Moran.
So our last student recognition for the school year, we have some kids from from Broadway, LT Ball, and high school to recognize. So first off at Broadway, we have the Heart of Gold winner, which is Isaac Hollabaugh. Is a second grader. He is for appreciation, outstanding academic performance, and he is recognized for the Heart of Gold award. Is Isaac here today? There he is. Shake my hand. You can get
Yes.
shake the
please
board.
shake.
High
Awesome.
fives.
High
And
fives. Congratulations. We're gonna take a
You'll get a
picture.
picture over there, so you're welcome to go there.
You're adorable. And then we go over there and take a picture. You get a cool background and everything.
We have two people for our math masters. So we have William Fikes and Rhett McGinnis. What's your favorite thing about math?
Well done.
And Rhett's not here at all. Okay. And then our last one from Broadway Elementary is recognized for the Sunshine Award, and this goes to Hazel Sargent. Is Hazel here? Congratulations to Hazel. LT Ball, we have a couple winners of the Responsibility Star Award, and that goes to Nicole Dosek and Jackson McConnell. What's the responsibility that you guys take on all the time? Just being great kids? Probably.
Do you have
Congratulations.
dance? I guess. I was like, your hair is so cute. I love it. Congratulations. Great job.
A Rise Up Award goes to Elena Bear.
Congratulations. Oh, okay, you good? Yeah. All right. Congratulations.
And we have 3 award winners for the Eco Hero Award, and they go to Shay DeSantis, Aisha Nair, and Nixon Seagraves. Did you guys do a project together? No, just for doing some
The city put on.
your drawings.
The city put on a
the city
drawing contest.
Drawing contest.
Awesome.
So not only eco, but you got great art skills too.
Congratulations, guys. Good job, babe. Congratulations. Excellent job. No, I did not finish.
In the high school, we have quite a few award winners with the outstanding performance in IT. These are from the Miami Valley CTC Awards. So Gage Williams, who was the 3rd place winner at the state contest, and I think Ms. Robbins said actually won the national contest for the IT troubleshooting award as well. So congratulations to Gage. Addison Dankworth was an outstanding skills in photography. She had the silver award. I don't believe she's here either. Camden Davis. The next ones are for the Ember Award. And we have this, if you want to get a picture of them as well, or this as well. If you want to, yeah, for these. So we have the Ember Awards of Camden Davis. Camden here.
Yeah.
Eliana Denton. Evan Fowler. Kyla Fry. Jocelyn Gold. William Hep. Marissa Holland. Audrey Kinninger. Benjamin Pearson. Emily Richardson. Tabitha Wedding. She's not
here yet.
And probably all these students also deserve a round of applause. As they're seniors, they left. Friday is their last day, and they showed back up for this. So congratulations. And then you'll be shaking their hands in what, 5 days?
Yeah.
5 days.
Graduating. So, congratulations to them. That is our student
Did we miss
award.
anybody?
Yeah, I think we got everybody. So students and families, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you'd like to go, now's a quick little exit. Don't run too fast.
Bree, can I borrow your papers? And Cindy Diller and Rick Bates. And 4 years. He's for next year.
Do you have any more comments? No, this is it. It's a woman doesn't have it. Well,
The superintendent and the treasurer hire and fire those. And then I am a director. And then
Strong.
And qualifications you have. You guys have any other questions? Okay, let us know. Sorry. I want to make sure they have all the answers because we don't go over that stuff before the meeting. Okay. All right. Next item is building project update. Mr. Moran.
But just real quickly, we're meeting on tomorrow, kind of finalize the logistic plan. It's been a lot of cooperation with Darwin Miller, Level MD, and Shook to work together to figure out the logistics plan for next year. But hopefully we can have that buttoned up here the next week or so and get that out to the community on how traffic patterns are going to go. I know construction is going to start in different areas. Nevin Coppic abatement is going on right now as we speak, and then once students are out, probably more towards like mid-June, pieces of Nevin Coppic, as they are completing a section, demo will follow. So that's going to be done, they think, by the end of July. So it's just, they're going to start picking up here in regards to construction. So we'll be getting a logistics plan out there, just not as fast as we hope that we can get done, but got some unique circumstances with two buildings that are going to be operating for the next 2.5 years, so needing done. So, thank you.
Yeah. So I just have been telling people when they ask me, that I'm asking for patience as we go through this process because there's going to be a lot of shifting with all of the school's still working, but us needing area for construction. So just be patient. Okay. All right. Next is citizens' comments. Citizens may address the board. Let me get the paper. All right, first on the citizens' comments is Mr. Don Watson. Truth, word, story, and script.
I appreciate coming to the work session. I come to observe. I was disappointed tonight. I thought the teachers did an excellent job and the superintendents, but I was really, when they started talking about reflection and self-improvement, when I took leadership seminars, they said, observe your audience. So that's what I did tonight. Board members, you did a great job. Eye-to-eye contact. Superintendent, you looked at your laptop, was on your phone almost the whole time. I'm telling that to the board and the president. It's time you keep this man accountable. Tomorrow night we got to go to another meeting because he didn't check with the city planning board and the building is 20 feet too high that all the architects have spent their time on. It can only be 35 foot in Tip City, not 55. And I know that from being on the planning board. I'm not just a one-shot in here and out. I stick with it because it's my community, your community. So know the rules and listen to the taxpayers. In a previous meeting, it was said that there's no manual for raising our children. But let me tell you, the best manual is the Holy Bible. It's got everything in it to raise a child, and hopefully they learn it. Because in their future life and for eternity, that's what counts. It's not the short 12 years that we're in school. It's the remaining 60, 70, or whatever God has for us in the number of years that we have on earth. That's the short period. So I'm going to read some proverbs I've heard all my life. A wise man or woman changes their mind to follow the will of the Heavenly Father. If you are not going to do your best, don't do it at all. He who spares the rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him diligently. Once a mat rat, always a mat rat, unless he is converted. The best teacher of knowledge is experience. He who pursues righteousness and loyalty finds life. Sin is the willful transgression of a known command of God. And now I'm going to tell you a history story of Tipp City. Downtown Tipp City was a drugstore. It was called Smith's Drugstore. Ross Smith was the druggist. He had a pharmacy salesman come in and ask him, or Mr. Smith asked the pharmacy salesman who he had played for the Chicago Bears. And he said, "Who's the hardest hit that hit you?" And he said, in fact, it was a guy here in Tipp City when I was in high school. And he told him his name. He said, Ross Smith said, "Just a minute, I'll be right back." So he went out his back door, went down 2 businesses to Paul Honeyman's electric store, grabbed him and said, "You got to come with me." So he went with him. And he said, "This man tells me when you were in high school, you were the hardest hitting guy that he's ever been hit by, going through college and professional football." So what I'm trying to tell you is tonight you're hearing about a policy that's kind of like open enrollment, but it's geared towards sport, academic, other schools, recruiting is what I would say. And this example, the reason I told you this story, I hope you're going to vote. Let Tipp City be Tipp City. That's why they closed off open enrollment. I was at that meeting a few years back. It's because those children are living in their school area. Their parents are paying taxes for them. Tipp City's taxpayers are paying for their kids. And so that's your tax money going for new school, teachers, coaches. Keep Tipp City, Tipp City. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. All right, next is Kathy Bone. School stuff is your subject.
Good evening. I'm going to start by asking, where's Waldo? Well, everybody knows Waldo must be around somewhere in every picture. They just have to find him. In the case of Tipp City Schools, I asked where Waldo is, and I'm referring to Ken Mormon. Remember him? He's Mr. Moran's friend from Versailles. All of you agreed to get rid of the HR director and let Mr. Moran be the HR director. He then went on to convince the board that he and Ms. Hagan did not have time to deal with a new building project, that he needed an owner representative to do all the work. Apparently, then he wrote up a job description, including his friend's credentials, upon which you approved. Then you approved him hiring his friend and handing him the title, a nice salary, and a benefit package. I don't know what Ken Mormon is doing, but I've only seen him at one community meeting. Every document I've seen for this project lists Mr. Moran as the owner representative. Mr. Moran's name is even on the city coding agenda tomorrow night instead of Ken Mormon. And FYI, the school needs approval to build a 3-story building instead of the 2-story building that you gave out to the voters, because it's 20 feet higher than the regulations allow in the family housing neighborhood. This board should have known that when you lied to the public about the 2-story building. If Mr. Moran's name is attached to all these documents, then what are we paying Ken Mormon for? I'll ask again, where is Ken Mormon? Keeping up with Mr. Moran's hold over this board, I'd like to also approach the subject of policy changes. It seems Mr. Moran is rewriting many policies. One policy rewritten was the consent agenda policy. I came before this board and complained that contracts, among other things, were being thrown into the consent agenda without being discussed in front of the public, and the policy did not allow for this in the consent agenda. So Mr. Moran changed the consent agenda policy to allow for everything to be thrown into it. What a disservice you all are doing to taxpayers by not openly discussing these contracts. We do have the right as a taxpayer to know what we're paying for, and every contract should be open for public review and explanation. Let's talk about tonight's policy changes. Policy 5113 and 2430.02 to be specific. While certain lines and some policies must follow the Ohio Revised Code, there are many policies written without the need for legal reference, or only a section needs legal references tied to it. Within these two policies, while you have some legal-driven sentences to make them look good, a lot of the wording is not legally driven. In Policy 5113, open enrollment, you put in active duty family to students and tuition-paying students, which you've attached to the Ohio Revised Code. But you've also given Mr. Moran the authority to open enroll any student from any other district. Policy 2430.02, even though it looks like you're letting homeschooled students and students from STEM schools in to participate in extracurricular activities, which I agree with, you also have put in other wording as well. This wording is to make it look like special circumstances, which can be made up to suit any situation, will allow Mr. Moran to allow any student from any district to come here to play sports and participate in any extracurricular activities. I don't know why you're looking at me like that, Mrs.
Just,
Drum.
I'm very confused
I mean,
about what you're
well,
talking
read the
about.
policies, for
I
God's
did,
sake.
thank you.
So I guess now you're giving Mr. Moran the right to recruit student athletes. I guess the only student athletes that are not going to have to worry about this are the ones that aren't the sons and daughters of board members or school employees. All other student athletes better be on their toes and aware their replacements may be coming for their spots on the team. As these policies this month are really not on the consent agenda, which is amazing, like they were last month, but they're open for discussion under new business, I'm sure you'll try to cover your tracks, but it is written clearly in black and white. It's sad to see that we have 5 board members so afraid of Mr. Moran that you let him do whatever he wants, hire anybody he wants, fire anybody he wants, rewrite policies the way he wants, and you've not ever put his $10,000 pay reduction on the agenda that he offered up last April after he riffed staff, apparently because of your fear of him. Hopefully in November, when 2 board seats come up to fill, we'll get 2 people on this board that will have a spine, and they will stand up to Mr. Moran, and they will stand up for the people and the students in this community, because you guys certainly have not.
All right, next is the informational report. So, Mr. Maines, Miami Valley CTC meeting minutes.
Yes, you all had a chance to look at the meetings, or the minutes, and they're pretty comparable to what ours are. We accept resignations, we had employment of certain certificated staff, we had approval of advisory extended service days, employment of personnel, substitute teachers, adult education instructors, bus drivers, approval of volunteers. We approved several out-of-state travel requests, and we have several courses of study that we approved, and textbook adoptions. We did have some new textbooks adopted because, the precision machining, for example, is an ever-changing situation. The other thing is, the last day on campus for seniors was Tuesday, May 6th, and the remaining students finished up on Thursday, May 15th. So the final pieces of summer construction work have been planned and should be easily completed before staff and students return this coming fall. The work is focused on warranty items that needed attention and exterior areas such as landscaping. When the staff and students are off campus, it's much easier to do. Hiring staff for next year will continue to be a substantial process as we continue towards the end of the school year. Retirement requests have been fairly light at this point in time, but we're working mainly to fill openings that are created by our planned growth next school year through the expansion of our satellite programs and additions of the career technical lab sections on campus. And one concern that we have with the recent changes in STRS requirements, we expect that we're going to see an increase in retirements over the next few years. We have a new, it's called a Senior Early Response Option, CERO. I call it a zero, but the pilot will be available to senior students next year. The CERO will be available for senior students in selected CT labs during the 8th period. And the opportunity will be available for students who are dropped off or picked up on a daily basis. For many years, the students have voiced concerns about their ability to return to the district in time to participate in co-curricular and extracurricular activities. So there is also a growing demand for students who need to be at work earlier and or pick up siblings after school, in addition to a host of other requests. So the Senior Early Release Option pilot is an attempt to see how this would impact the district's daily operations while providing this option to students who meet the criteria. And not all technical labs will qualify for the CERO due to hours required for licensure, and also how their lab schedules are structured and or overall number of students that can participate in a CERO during the pilot. CT labs identified to participate will need to have their schedules slightly adjusted so that students can have lunch. And we'll have the 8th period open so that they can be released early. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Baines. Any other reports? Mrs. Dillard?
So I attended the Tip Monroe Community Services, and I just have to say I really enjoy going to those meetings. They do so much for our community and for our schools. So the new brochure went out. There's some new courses for summer quarter. Everyone got those in the mail. They should have. Vacation at the Park starts here coming up. That's in the mornings. Each week has a theme, and they usually hire a lot of college students, kids that come home from college, which is really great. The summer lunch program is the big thing coming up all summer. Any family in Tip City can pick up lunches at the Tip City Global United Methodist Church, and it is really utilized. They also, you can donate to it, you can donate items, or you can donate money to support that, and you can volunteer. So I'll be working 2 days a week this summer. I'm looking forward to that. And they continued the backpack program for some of our students in need was very successful this year. There were 26 backpacks. I know they work with Liz Robbins with that each weekend. The backpack goes home with the family. There's a minimum of 12 items in it to help the family over the weekend with food. And so the fall calendar is being finalized, and Kathy is going to be the president of the Month Festival this year. So lots going on. They continually are doing things. And it's really nice to have that organization in our community.
Awesome.
Oh, and they talked with Aaron about facilities uses. So she had a meeting with Aaron, I believe, for concerns about future use of facilities when all this comes down and when the construction starts and all of that. So it'll all get worked out.
It will. It will. Okay, so Tip Educational Endowment, they wanted to extend a thank you to our community as there were 47 teacher nominations this year, which is the largest nominations we've ever had. So kudos to our teachers too. And then also our brand new Red Devil Award, we actually had 8 nominations this year to nominate bus drivers, custodians, any aides, things like that in the district. So we had 8 nominations this year, and that's the first award that we're giving out for that. And that'll be on the 27th of May. All right, next, Treasurer's Report, monthly financial report. I'm going to leave the floor to you, sir.
Well, the April financial report is attached to the agenda for the board members. Things are going really well. If you were to look, well, I'll just start on page 2. Our current cash balance is right at about $100 million. Again, this is mostly because of the money that was brought in from the bond issuance for the construction project. We are starting to see appropriations creep up as we start working on pre-construction. That's what Shook is doing pre-construction. We have put in and we have put in a purchase order for Garvin Miller's architectural services. That's over $6 million. But the funding is there, and you will see some appropriation increases later on in the meeting today because of those those appropriations that have been put in place. It's nowhere near the total balance of the cash that we have on hand for those. That will increase as the project moves on. If you go to page 6, this is our budget versus actual review. The first column starts out with the November 24 forecast, and then we have some outstanding carryover purchase orders from last year, and we have our column of changes. You can see there's not a lot of changes. There's been more money being moved around, but overall, the dollar amounts that you're seeing in our total fiscal year 25 receivable, that's pretty much tying back to the 5-year forecast that we're going to see at the next item in the agenda, with just a couple changes in expenses, and I'll go over that when we get into the 5-year forecast. But overall, if you look at the percentage targets, we are 21 out of 26 payrolls done for the fiscal year, and that is roughly about 80.8%, and we're currently at 79.9%, trending just below that. But the month of May has 3 pay periods, and it also has the payment of all of the stipends for our year-round positions. So the payroll for the month of May is going to be very large, and we're going to make up that 1% variance very quickly. But all of our revenues are either trending in, we've received everything for the year, that's our property taxes. Most of our, the state share of local property taxes, which is the homestead and rollback, that's all 100%. All other operating revenues already hit 100%. And we're going to get the rest of our state foundation revenue, we're going to hit 100% on everything. So the revenue is coming in fine, and our expenses are trending below where we think they should be. But again, a lot of big movement in the month of May. So things are moving very well, and I'm hoping and anticipating that our actual expenses will be lower than what the budget is. So, any questions from board members for the April financial report that I can answer?
Just a quick snapshot of why our expenses are lower than what we expected at this point.
Well, there's a lot of timing variances. So at the end of March or at the end of June, we're going to see the true up for our ESC expenses. That's going to be under the other. So right now we're currently looking at 78% out of the expected about 83.3. But we're going to have the true up for the ESC charges. I believe that Aaron and I, when we met with the ESC, we're currently looking at $50,000 more than what was originally budgeted at the beginning of the year, and that's just because of the students that we're serving. We've had kids move in. We've seen, so when a child moves in and stay in the preschool program that qualifies for that, that right there is like $35,000 to $50,000 for one kid moving in. So that can really change, but we're going to see some expenses there. We are buying in supplies. Mr. Hobbs has put in the $145,000 purchase order to buy Chromebooks for next year. I mean, 145 is a large percent. So payroll, that's going to be right on, but we can see changes in the other expenses and our supplies and materials. Purchase services, I'm really hoping is set a little bit higher. I hope we're going to come out better than that. But overall, when I'm doing the 5-year forecast, I would rather over budget on the expenses rather than under budget and then be completely blindsided. So I think we're going to be really close to actually right on, head on. But I'd like to be a little bit under if we can. But we'll see. We'll see.
Thank you.
Yes.
And with the 15 retirements, when will that impact the budget? What month will that impact?
So you heard Mr. Maines talk about the future retirements at the CTC. We've seen that now. Yeah, Mrs. Dillard mentioned 15 retirements. more than, I want to say, 3/4 of those people are retiring at the end of May, and you're going to see large severance payouts and their final payouts that cover their pay from, normally we do a spread pay where you get paid over the full year. Well, those retirements at May 31st are going to receive their June, July, and August payrolls at the month. It's going to hit in the month of May. And in fact, the severance payouts are going to exceed well over $350,000. I've had to increase the 5-year forecast for the severance payouts to account for that. So that's actually the change. You've let the cat out of the bag there, Cindy.
Sorry.
So the
I just knew it was.
yeah. So the 5-year forecast, we actually see the change in salaries because of the severance payouts. Definitely did not anticipate. I don't think we've ever had this many retire at once. So.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. All right, next, I would love a motion for the approval of the 5-year forecast spring of 2025.
All motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Haynes. Is there any discussion? I guess
That's fine. So the 5-year forecast has been updated. Originally, we submitted one in November of 2024. This is required by our revised code. And then we have to update it in the month of May, so May of 2025. Just a little piece of trivia here. There's not trivia, but a little bit of knowledge. There's a bill in place right now in front of the legislature where they're trying to change it to a 3-year forecast, so that we're only showing 3 years, the current and 2 future years. I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather see a 5-year window because that helps us plan. It's really hard to just look 3 years out and say, oh, we got to put a levy on the ballot. There's so much time that has to go on and it has to be taken to put a levy on the ballot, to discuss it, determine what you need. 5 years out gives you a better idea of where you can see something's going to happen or just need to be done. So anyway, currently that law has not changed. We're still showing a 5-year forecast. So the big thing that we saw from last year, not the November, but the May of 2024 forecast, we had a negative, at the end of year 5, we had a negative balance anticipated at the end of 2028 of $3.5 million. The November of 2024 forecast had a 2029 anticipated ending cash balance of $1.68 million. That was a large swing, and that was mostly due to the reduction in force that took place that was approved by the board back in June. In May of 2025, that $1.68 million cash balance at the end of 2029 has actually gone up a little bit more to $1.89 million. So that's another $210,000 more. The reason for this is because of additional collections in property tax revenues and homestead rollback revenues. And also, there's some additional funding being advanced back into the general fund of about $400,000 total, but it's being offset by an additional $200,000 that we're paying out in severances. So that difference of $210,000, we're showing higher revenues, but we're also showing slightly higher expenses. But other than that, there really hasn't been much change to the forecast. We're budgeting in 98-99% of where we were back in November of 2024. The things that we need to consider is that there are 2 state budgets included in this forecast time period of the next 5 years, because the state approves a budget every 2 years. And right now, the items that are being considered by the legislature have great influence on property tax revenues. If you haven't heard, there was they had enough signatures for an item to be placed on the next ballot to eliminate property taxes altogether. So I'm not sure what's going to happen because the district is relying heavily on real estate taxes. 56.4% of our revenue is from real estate taxes. So I'm not sure what the state legislature is thinking, what the plan is, what they're going to try to do to help offset that or replace it. But there's a lot of things that could happen. There are currently 14 proposed laws to impact property taxes, all with different things of looking at it. The House Bill 96, when this was written, House Bill 96 was the one that was going to have the biggest impact on us. But now I think just the elimination of property taxes altogether is even more detrimental to the funding for the school. So we're just going to have to keep our ears open and listen to what's going to happen. Right now, I'm only as good as the information we have, and that's the current tax budget or the current foundation budget that we have. And that's what we're projecting through the 5-year forecast. If something, the legislature doesn't have to approve the tax budget for the state of Ohio, the next 2-year budget, it doesn't have to be done until, the Senate has late May, and then there's going to be conference committees in late June, and hopefully by June 30th they have it passed.
Okay.
But, so we'll just have to see. If there is major overhaul to taxes, then you're going to see a significant change to the November 2025 forecast. But overall, our cash balances, we do have a positive cash balance over the next, from now until the end of 2025, or 2029, which is something we haven't seen in a long time. You also notice on the next 5 years, we aren't approving any new levies. We're not putting anything up for renewal between now and 2029, at least renewal-wise. Depending on what happens with the future, we'll see. But it's good that we have funding right now, and we're still slowly draining our funding as revenues stay constant and expenses go up. But this is probably one of the best forecasts we've seen in a long time. Any questions from board members?
Yeah. Just because they say they want to limit it to a 3-year forecast, I mean, we can still do it.
Correct. We can still have our own 5.
That's just what you submit to the state.
Yeah, we'd have to. So we could do the 5-year. It kind of changes the assumptions that we submit. Well, I don't know. Maybe they'd still accept the 5-year forecast with 5 years of assumptions, and they're only going to care about the first 3 years. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I don't see why we would want to change it from a 5 to a 3, because 5 gives you more information.
Then the other question is, how's that 30% cash reserve impact us with our particular?
Currently, we're a little over the 30%. I think we were at 38% fiscal year 24. I think Aaron, Mr. Moran had indicated that he'd heard that maybe they were thinking of doing 40%, but there are other districts that are even higher than 40%. Once you get past this fiscal year, though, I think we're under the 30% ending cash balance limit, so it doesn't affect us more in the future, but we would have been affected last year had that been in place. So it's definitely something that's real. And it hasn't gone away. That's the House Bill 96 that I mentioned earlier.
And just for public information, it's also under public content, all the information that Mr. Stevens just covered as well. Very nice presentation also in the 5-year forecast presentation.
K-12 Consulting, who I work with on this, they're a fantastic group to work with. I'd say more than half of the schools in Ohio work with them on their 5-year forecast, and I think they make it very easy to go through the information and provide that and present that for the community. So that would definitely encourage people to go to the board docs and pull that information down.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and vote on the motion to approve the 5-year forecast for spring of 2025.
Thompson?
Yes.
Maines?
Yes.
Drum?
Yes.
Dillon?
Yes.
All right. Motion passes. Next, I would entertain a motion for the approval of the fiscal year 25 appropriation amendments.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Maines.
A second.
And seconded by Mrs. Dillard. Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, we had some changes. The largest change is in Fund 10, which you can see it's over $3 million, and that's for the construction contracts that we have in place. The other items are in Fund 001 and 003. There was an audit recommendation. I had posted a receipt at net rather than gross. That was the Premier Health receipt. and we were getting $75,000 a year, and the new contract lowered that to $37,500. Well, we were spending money on an athletic trainer and a strength and conditioning coach, and I was netting those together and only deposited or posted, I don't know, 11,000 or 15,000. And the auditor said, no, you need to do it in gross. So what happened was we actually had more money. It's net effect of zero in the end, but it showed that there was still some additional funding to advance back to the general fund from the 003 fund. So that's what you're seeing there. In appropriations, the additional $20,630 in the general fund, that's the money that was spent on the AT, the athletic trainer, and the strength conditioning. And $46,891 from the 003 fund is the additional money available now because of the 2024 receipt and the 2025 receipt from Premier Health. So that was being advanced back to the general fund. So I had budgeted too low, putting it back to gross. This now fixes all that. And then we did have, some additional expenses for Relay for Life at LT. They brought in more money than they expected, and this is just a donation out, so we had to increase the expense there for the donation of Relay for Life. And Hope Squad and Octagon Club and the Spanish Club budget, they've all asked to have a little bit more of their money to be able to spend this year. That's your 200 funds. And then the cheer summer camp and cross country and the tiny house, they've all asked to spend their money as well. The money in the 200 and 300 funds are, besides athletics for the high school, they have, in the middle school, they have their own funds, but then all the other ones are the team accounts in the 300 funds. So when the football team fundraises money, they have it, it's available for them to spend. Tiny house, same thing, cheer, same thing. So, but overall, $3.4 million in 010, and then $90,000 in everything else. It's actually pretty small. So those are my appropriation requests for the month. Any questions from board members on those?
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Maines?
Yes.
Dillard?
Yes.
Drum?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Motion passes. Next is the consent agenda. Items under the consent agenda are prior meeting minutes from April 22nd, work session, prior meeting minutes from April 22nd, regular meeting, prior meeting minutes from April 30th, special meeting, retirements for 2024 to 2025, retirements 2025 to 2026, resignations, revision to resignations, non-reemployment, new hires for 2025-2026, educational upgrades, extended day contracts for 2025 to 2026, 2025 summer and curriculum planning staff, 2025 ESY staff, sports camp instructor pay, 2025-2026 is supplemental coaching staff, pay to participate, Miami County ESC payment contract, GBU life donations for middle school Washington DC trip, the Miami County Foundation grant acceptance, and Stagecrafters 24-25 additions. Consent agenda does not need to be voted on. Is there a motion to, does not need to be discussed. Is there a motion for the consent agenda items?
I move that we approve the consent agenda items.
Moved by Mrs. Dillard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Thompson. All right, and we'll go ahead and vote.
Dillard?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Drum?
Yes.
Maines?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. New business, the Neola 43.2 Winter 2025 update. This is the second or final read. Public content is included with all of the policies that have been revised. Do I have a motion to approve the Neola 43.2 Winter 2025 update?
I'll move that we approve the update.
Moved by Mrs. Dillard. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Maines. Mrs. Dillard, do you want to flip the floor for discussion?
Sure. Mrs. Drum and myself and Norm from Neola, we worked on the policy updates. We spent many, many hours doing this over the course of probably 6 months. We walked through every single policy. Neola makes recommendations as well. Some languages change, minor changes, but any of the changes are fully discussed, and very few policies and Tip City policies have our own language attached to them, because it is recommended that you use Neola language, because it's a standard language that's used across all districts.
It's reviewed by the attorneys.
And it's
Yes.
reviewed by their attorneys, and it's recommended, and they have an entire staff of people that work at the state level with our legislators, and they are really up to date on all of the latest laws and revised code. When a revised code wasn't attached, we made certain that we attached it. We really went through it with, very, very carefully, very painstakingly. So, I know that there was a concern about participation of students in sports. Maybe some clarification of that could take place regarding revised code. That is the law, that charter schools and private home school children must be allowed to participate in their local district, but there are some guidelines that the superintendent has to follow regarding that. It's not a policy that's any different than any other district. It's the same policy, and it's not a policy that's used for recruiting.
Any other discussion? Shane, any questions?
Yeah, the only thing that, kind of, I was curious about was in our policy regarding cell phone use, which is, pretty much standard language that, there was in yesterday's paper, the Dayton Daily News, an article about Senate Bill 158 passed by a vote of 30-2, and it was dealing with the cell phones, and it said generally prohibiting Ohio K through 12 students. Now, in our policy, we break down between K through 8.
No, not in this.
Okay, it's been changed.
Yeah, so Neola came in and had that conversation with us when we were in
Okay.
policy, and they said that more than likely that was going to pass.
All right.
And when it did, we went ahead and got rid of the policy that we had
Okay, so
discussed
it's
in
up
the
to
meeting.
date. with-
It's up to
okay.
date with
All
the
right. Yeah, that's what I wanted-
expectations.
That's what I
Yeah.
want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Any other questions?
I also wanted to mention that this was a really important thing for us to do, because the policies had not been reviewed and updated for a number of years. And it's really important to do that on a schedule and make sure that all of the policies are updated on a, every few years, going through all of them. Because you can't just, some boards try to do it, they try to do a policy at every meeting or something. They pick and choose policies, but you can't really do that comprehensively unless you attack the whole policy manual. So,
Mrs. Drummond,
Yeah.
this policy is broken to K-12.
I thought that we were putting
No.
the new one from Neola in there.
This is the new one. This is based on the requirement from last summer where we had to come with a policy by July 1.
Okay.
The new policy that as the governor's promoted, the House has passed the version and the Senate has passed the version, is for total removal out. So that is not this. If that
Right, I
passes,
thought that's what we were gonna put in here instead.
no.
So we will down.
We would have to,
Yeah.
we would have
Have
to.
Have it passed, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
It's in the house.
This is what we
Okay.
decided on.
I guess I misunderstood that. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I thought we were doing that ahead of time. My bad.
No. Because it's
Because
not.
I remember
it's-
talking about it.
We've talked about it might happen, but it's not
Okay.
finalized in
Okay.
any form or fashion. So
Okay.
we do
So
not-
it's temporary.
Yeah, this is probably a temporary piece that will have to be redone before the new school year. Correct.
Okay.
And the House and Senate is, they're, I think in the Senate article, or in the House, they're looking to make sure, trying to pass it before, so the 90-day piece can go into effect before there's a school year.
and again, Neola is really up on that. They'll send us the information and let us know that it needs to be updated. So,
Thank you guys for all the work on that.
Yeah.
It was, the most fun, but necessary.
Good
it
job.
was It's interesting, I found it interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of a nerd.
I mean, I think it's helpful too to go over them to learn a little bit more about what each one entails too. And it's nice that we get the opportunity to ask questions as well, in case we don't understand something. I think asking questions when you don't understand, seeking knowledge is very important. So, again, I apologize for that. I really thought that we had changed it in this one. So, I guess we'll be doing that in August. I'll put that on my list. Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on the Neola 43.2 Winter 2025 update.
Dillard,
Yes.
Maines,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Next is 2025-2026 Metropolitan Educational Technology Association contract. I would entertain a motion for approval of the Metropolitan Educational Technology Association Meta Master Service Agreement Core Services Contract and Single IEP Anywhere Plus contract for fiscal year 2026.
All motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Dillard. And then, discussion.
This is pretty much my avenue right here. So Meta is the ITC Information Technology Center that we use here in this area of the state. We can use any one of the ITCs throughout the state, but this is the one that's close. We've actually talked about getting pricing for other ITCs. So the ITC provides us with our accounting software from the state, our payroll software from the state, the student information system, and the Same Goal Anywhere, IEP Anywhere. This is something that we get through them every year on an annual basis. We pay based on student count. And so there is a slight increase in the percentage this year from last year, which we've been seeing over time. Mr. Moran has talked about maybe looking at the other ITCs, but I feel like the price has not gone too crazy high this year. Other reasons why we haven't really switched to a new ITC is because we use PowerSchool, and some of the other ITCs around us don't support PowerSchool yet. They're currently using what's it called there? Progress Book, yes, thank you. But so for fiscal year 26, I'm recommending that we continue with Meta. The services we do get are good for us. Customer service might not be as good as what we could see from another ITC, but until they can support us fully from somewhere else, we're going to stick with Meta. But we'll be looking in the future. But with the, go ahead.
There's not a significant cost difference between this one and some of the other ITCs.
We'd have to actually change the student information service system that we have, going from PowerSchool to something different, and that alone is a larger expense for implementation, switching back. So
Diminishing returns.
yeah, and it's done a year at a time. So if we are able to find something and we can work out a timing on switching over and moving over, if it's fiscally responsible to do that, then I'm sure that we will make that change.
What is the difference between this, or why is there two different schedules, Schedule 1 and Schedule 2?
It's the services that are provided. So the Schedule 1 is the largest. That's the core services for the accounting software and the student information system. The second schedule is the IEP Anywhere program that we use for our special education students. Same Goal IEP Anywhere. That's just a separate cost that we get charged because that's not part of core services. This is something that we get above and beyond the core services. So it's in the second group.
Isn't that a part of a ESC?
No, Meta is its own information technology center. So ITCs and ESCs are completely different. If you're familiar, like
I thought the one down in Yellow Springs had.
that's Mabeka, and yes, so Mabeka is another one that we could go to.
But they're
In
part
Greene
of
County.
an ESC, right?
No, there's a Greene County ESC, and then there's the Miami Valley Education, or can't remember what's called. They are two separate entities. They're in the same building,
Okay.
but they're two separate.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote on the approval of the Metropolitan Educational Technology Association Meta Master Service Agreement, Core Services Contract, and Same Goal IEP Anywhere Plus contract for fiscal year 2026.
Thompson,
Yes.
Dillard,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Item C is rescinding resignation. I'd entertain a motion for approval to rescind the previous accepted resignation of Tate Honeycutt, social studies teacher at Tippecanoe High School, and to reinstate his employment for the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Mays, is there a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Dillard? And any discussion?
No.
Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Mays,
Yes.
Dillard,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes. All right, the salary schedules for administration and classified staff for 25-26. I would entertain a motion for approval of the salary schedule for the 2025-2026 school year for administration, classified, and substitute staff. The draft salary schedule for administration and classified staff is included under public content.
I'll motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Maines. And is there any discussion?
I'll just note that the salary schedules have been updated from the prior year with a 1.5% cost of living adjustment.
And these salaries are a range, they do not include steps.
No, there are steps in the salary schedule. Oh, for the administration, no, they're just ranges. If you go to the classified, they do include steps.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Maines,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Dillard.
Yes.
Motion passes. Next is a recommendation for approval of the following 2025-2026 administrator salary. It's listed under public content for Mr. Halsey, principal at the Tippecanoe Middle School. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Maines, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Dillard. Is there any discussion on the approval of the administrative salary?
I'd say what his presentation was today, he does a nice job.
Happy to see this.
Hearing no other discussion, we'll proceed to vote.
Maines,
Yes.
Dillard,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Motion passes. I would love a motion for approval of the certified staff for the 2025-2026 school year. The recommendation sheet with certified information is attached.
I'll move that we accept the list.
The certified staff list.
That's the certified staff recommendations.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Schlower. It's moved by Mrs. Dillard and seconded by Mr. Thompson for the certified staff for the 2025-2026 school year. Any discussion?
I'll just note that this list are teachers that have finished their 1 to 3 year contracts. They're starting over at 1 year, or they have been moved to a continuing contract, meaning they've worked here enough years, they have enough educational, they have a master's degree, and they have now qualified to receive a continuing contract with the district. So every year they just receive a salary notice because they're going to continue with us. Anybody that's currently mid-year of a contract are not on this list.
Thank you for the information. I appreciate that. Hearing no other discussion, we'll proceed to vote.
Dillard,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Maines.
Yes.
All right, and next is, I would love a motion for approval of the classified staff for the 2026 school year. The recommendation list is enclosed under public content.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Mr. Maines. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Thompson. Any discussion?
Just the same comment for this as well, classified staff starting a new contract.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Maines,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Jerome,
Yes.
Dillard.
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, now we're on H, which is classified contract change for the 2025-2026. I would love a motion to approve the change in employment status for the following employees. It's under public content. Deb Baker, data management specialist, is moving to full-time. No, changing to software support specialist for part-time, my bad, from full-time to part-time. And, yes, and the information is enclosed. Oh, yes, sorry, I missed that. Yes. Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Dillard. Any discussion on the changes in employment status for the following employees?
Was the, for the data management specialist, was there a discovery that we didn't need her full-time, or was this on her end, did she decide part-time would work better?
It was her, it was one her, and she would like to reduce days, she's going to retire shortly. So she would give up some days.
Does that put us in any sort of deficit with the work
No.
that she does?
Mr. Hobbs, the IT director, felt like having her around is still good, that this reduce days. So, at this time, it's not, I think it's sometime when she retires, the replacement may go back to a 225 day person, but at this time, with her experience and her skills, this should be enough.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Thompson, Dillard,
Yes.
Jerome,
Yes.
Maines.
Yes.
All right. Motion passes for the changes in employment status. Next, a motion for approval to hire Beth Haddon as a Power School registration consultant for no more than 300 hours for the 2025-2026 school year to be paid at an hourly rate of the EMIS coordinator, step 11. And then just for information, Mrs. Haddon also did this position this past summer, and she did a fantastic job, in my personal opinion, of getting parents registered early and understanding how to do it. So, is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Moved by Mrs. Dillard. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Maines. Any discussion?
She was formerly at Broadway, wasn't she?
And I think last year's contract was 500 hours, we reduced it down to 300 hours.
This is just over the summer?
No, it's during.
She turns in timesheets to support the work that she's done.
And so it's less hours for this contract? She wanted that also?
It was up to 500 hours. I think we didn't need that many, so we lowered it down to 300 for this year. I think that is a good work started out.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Dillard,
Yes.
Maines,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Thompson. Yes.
Next is math materials adoption. I would entertain a motion for approval to adopt the recommended math curriculum materials for implementation beginning in the 2025-2026 school year. And the math 2025-2026 adoption PDF is included under public content. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Dillard. Is there any discussion? Well, I guess for just clarification, this is the new map program that we're using, like the bridges? Or no?
Yes,
Okay.
this is the stuff that was talked about at the previous work session.
Okay.
It includes the consultants, correct? The total amount includes the consultants from,
I believe that is included in the price.
Professional
Yes,
development, yes, as part of that.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Dillard,
yes,
Drum,
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
All right, next is, motion passes for the math materials. K is resolution to adopt special education model policies and procedures. A motion for approval of the resolution to adopt the special education models and procedures version 1.0 2025 as presented. The resolution draft is included.
I'll motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Means. Any discussion?
Is this a change in what we had before, or this is the same thing?
This is just a notification, again, that says we're gonna provide assurances to the part of the education workforce that we're following protocols.
Okay.
That's what we have to do it every year.
Okay.
This is
That's
a
what I
new
thought.
thing, and then it has to be done every year. Motion, I think, that's every year.
Any other questions or discussion on the policy? Thank you for the clarification. All right, we'll go ahead and proceed to vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Mays,
Yes.
Dillard,
yes.
Drum.
Yes. The motion for approval of the resolution to adopt the special education model policies and procedures, version 1.0 2025 has passed. Next is the, a motion for,
Teacher on special.
yes, thank you. Yes, I'm reading there. Teacher on special assignment, job description as presented below.
I'll move that we approve the job description.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there a discussion?
This was the role that we were adding to break off some of the principal's responsibilities.
So, you know, as an instructional coach, I think it'd be better to have support in this area with, versus the instructional coach at the high school would have this person develop discipline and attendance, to allow the principal to then focus on the instructional. As you heard today, she has one of her great strengths, and finding time to work with the teachers and work on the plan PD and help with classroom instruction would be the better use of time versus having somebody else who has the knowledge and the skills to help develop that.
We're just voting to approve the description, correct?
Correct.
Not
Yes.
one particular hire.
Correct.
I think I shared with Aaron before, I just think it's a great opportunity for a teacher that is considering going into administration. This is a great opportunity for leadership. And without all the other responsibilities,
Sort of a step
kind
up.
of it's a step towards it.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Dillard,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Drum,
Yes.
Mays.
Yes.
Motion passes. At this time, we will adjourn into I entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose authorized under Board of Education Policy 160 and ORC 121.22G1. Is there a motion?
I'll motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Maines. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, we'll proceed to vote.
Thompson,
Yes.
Maines,
Yes.
Jerome,
Yes.
Dillard.
Yes.
All right, the time is now 7:17 and we will head to executive session. I Okay, the time is now 8:18 and we are out of executive session and there is no official action. Okay, next is our upcoming meetings. Currently, our next work session and regular board meeting is scheduled on June 17th, 2025. The work session will begin at 5 and the regular meeting will begin at 6 p.m. During construction and things going on the next couple of months, our meetings will be changing to the board office for June and July for sure. August is still up in the air. Yes, okay, just clarification. All right, at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
All motion.
Moved by Mr. Thompson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Dillard. Any discussion? All right, hold on. All in favor, say aye. Just say it. Aye. All opposed? Okay.